Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Brownstone, brownstoneworldwide.com, that is. I'm Paulette. I'm a part of Brownstone Worldwide. You're in the Brownstone Worldwide studios, and Happy New Year to you all. We've got some interesting things that we're going to be talking about over the next couple of weeks to get you ready for the new year. You know what that's like, right? So you make a list of all the things that you're going to do. And then by the first week of the new year, you've already slipped into those old habits again. And one of those is getting yourself organized and keeping your home, your office, and all of the things in between together. We've brought a special guest with us for this complete season here in the Brownstone. Tanisha Lyons Porter is here today. She's going to be joining us here in just a second. But first, you guys, I got a quick story. We were hanging out in a lobby in a hotel, and she got my whole life together. How about that? So without further ado, we're going to go ahead. We're going to bring Tanisha on, talk about that just a little bit, and then see if we can grab some of those tips on how we are going to do better organizing and getting ourselves and keeping ourselves together in 2024. Tanisha, welcome to the Brownstone. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. How are you?
Great. I'm well. Thank you again so much for coming and hanging out with us today here in the Brownstone at Brownstone Worldwide. I mentioned earlier, like just a few seconds ago, about how we were hanging out in a hotel lobby. We're part of a professional organization, and you handed me my whole life. And so I went home and I followed your directions, and we're going to talk a little bit further about that. But even still, as early as yesterday, I'm still finding remnants and I'm throwing away. And so I would love for you to dig deep into that. First of all, you are the owner and founder of Natural Born Organizers, and we're going to tell people how to get in touch with you once we complete this interview today, this talk. But you said something during our communication in that lobby that I had not considered. So I always thought I was just cleaning up my house. That's not what we're doing, are we? What are we doing?
You're basically just stuffing and stashing,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
You're just clearing things and just clearing off that flat surface.
Yeah.
You know, you're moving things from here to there, but you're really stuffing and stashing and delaying making decisions. Procrastinating on maybe dealing with some things that have occurred, some unfortunate events that may have occurred,
Yeah.
and kind of stuffing and stashing the things, but also the disappointment, the grief, the shame, the hurt, the goal not yet achieved. We're stuffing and stashing all that because we feel like I don't have time to deal with this right now. And I don't know which one of these things is going to trigger me and then potentially put me in a place to where I can't do what I need to do on a daily basis. So, yeah. And that's the part that most people don't connect.
Oh, wow. So for those of you all who are going to be watching the replay, you're watching this live or whatever, I need you all to hear me. I presented to Tanisha that I had gone through a breakup. It had been a long time ago. Wait. Right. It had been a long time ago. And I don't mind talking about it because I'm in a different place. Yeah. And it had been so long ago that I had moved from one state to the next. And you said something to me that you said, well, why do you keep taking it with you? He moving right with you. And I went and I had this aha moment because I was like, oh, that explains a lot. And you said, when you get home, put him out. And he's physically been gone. I'm putting my business out there. But he's still there.
he was still there. He was still
Oh,
taking
wow.
up space.
Ooh, child.
He was
Ooh.
still taking up space in your new home
Yes, he
that
was.
you pay for.
Yeah. See, that's wow. And I went home and I was packing bags and I started going through things. And just like what you described started to happen.
Absolutely.
It was the ouch. It was the I can't believe that happened. It was the woe is me, the feeling of unworthiness, and this is I'm speaking from a woman's perspective of what happened. I can't speak for other
Right.
people and what they're dealing with, but
Right.
I'm telling you, all of the emotions that you talked about, you set me up for it. And so I went home and I braced myself and when I got through, I threw out 3 bags of things, garbage bags of things that belonged to him that was still in his house. Now, I can't throw his son out, right? But I could throw away the computers, the bank statements, the tax form. Why was all of his stuff still here? Like, why do we do that? And so, the question that I have for you, number one, what made you decide or even think people need help? Because what you offer is a way for people to move forward with their lives. So it's not just about like, I'm just coming to help you clean your kitchen. That's not what you do.
No. So that's twofold, because in 2009, when my husband and I moved into our house, our first house, it was in the midst of the recession, and everyone was scared, like losing their jobs, like veterans, old timers, right, were losing their jobs in the corporate world. And so, I'm here. At that point, I was already working from home, and I'm watching HGTV because that's what you do when you move, right? You're like, okay, what can I do on my own, right? Because I just spent all this money getting this place. And on one of the shows, there was an organizing expert that came on. And I was watching what that expert was doing, and I was like, is this the thing? And I started Googling things, and I realized there was a national association for organizers. There were conferences, annual conferences. There were local chapters, right? And so this is in 09. This is in 09. And so from that moment, God just kept, and so that's part one. From that moment, God just kept dropping in my spirit, reminding me of different aspects of my life and how, girl, this is it. You do it naturally, right? First scenario, I was in the 6th grade. I would stay in my 6th grade teacher's classroom during recess and help her reset and organize her classroom.
Wow.
There were big floor to ceiling cabinets in the back of the room where all of the things resided. And I would literally reorganize that cabinet and put like things together and find boxes and things to put the things in so that they can somewhat stay together as other people go in and get what they need and refresh, right? So I would do that. Then God reminded me about when I was a teenager. Well, no, before I was a teenager, I would always move things around in my bedroom.
Yeah.
Because I felt like it could be more efficient, right?
Wow.
Like, oh, well, if my desk is here and my bed is here, and if my closet, my clothes are here, I can do this easier, right? So that efficiency, that productivity piece. And so then when I was in high school, my parents would go to different places in Mexico with their other married friends. I wouldn't throw parties when they were gone, right? I would reorganize spaces. I would go into the kitchen and I would clear out the refrigerator and throw out things that were bad and expired. I would go into the pantry and I would
Wow.
throw out the flour that had the little weeble wobbles in it. And I
Yeah.
would throw out the things that the cans that were right. I would do all that. I would go into the linen closet and I would get the oldest sheets, the sheets that, we still had twin sheets. Nobody had a twin bed anymore, right?
Right, right.
I would go and throw out the towels that were ripped and
Mm.
itchy and things. And I would do that while my parents were gone. And they never got upset when they came back. I remember I remember before my mom passed at my event earlier this year, I asked her because I brought up that. And I asked, I said, did you and daddy ever get like mad when you would come home? Like, get out of our things. Like,
Right,
who are
right.
you?
Yeah.
And I said, what did y'all think? And she was like, we just kind of looked at each other and was like, first of all, whose kid is this? Right.
Right.
And second of all, they were just kind of like, okay, I mean, it does
Okay.
look better. Like
Yeah.
they never got offended. They never, because I never threw any of their personal things away. Like
Mhm.
the things that I got rid of needed to get rid of. And
Yeah.
yeah, and so I did that. And so all of these things were like downloaded. And I
Mhm.
was like, wow, okay, this could be a business.
Mhm.
So after probably a couple of years, I started like reorganizing my house because we were just moving in and just trying to like set it up because it's totally new. But I
Mhm.
would take pictures. Facebook was just, coming to be.
Right.
And so I would share pictures of my new house on Facebook. And then, I knew I could do it for me,
Mhm.
right? My
Mhm.
question was, can I do it for other people?
Mhm.
And is that something that like people need? Because it came so natural to me.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as I'm talking about it with my inner circle, with my friends, my family, I keep hearing them talk about how my house is so organized and how this
Mhm.
is so organized. And to me, it didn't feel ultra organized because in
Right.
my head, ultra organized was Martha Stewart, B. Smith, right?
Right.
All of those types of people.
Mhm.
And I was like, I'm not that. Like, I'm not anal in that manner. I'm not like if something's out of place, I'm like, "Rrr." I'm not like
Right.
that.
Right.
So to me, I was like, y'all just tripping. But then I was able to notice when I was in other people's houses that even though their houses could be like cleaner than mine,
Mhm.
I would open cabinets and there would be concealed clutter, right? Like
Mm.
every cabinet was a mishmash of things.
Yeah.
Like I opened the refrigerator and there could be juices on each level, and there could be
Mhm.
condiments here and condiments there, and leftovers here and leftovers there. Like, so I started noticing, and then
Mhm.
I was like, okay, I get it. This comes natural to me.
Yeah.
So when people see my spaces, they're like, oh my goodness, this
Right.
is wonderful,
Yeah.
right? And they don't know how to replicate that or create a sense of that at home. And
Mhm.
that's when it clicked. And that's when I was like,
Mm.
okay, I can
I
do
got
this
something.
because there was a point where I wanted to be an educator,
Mhm.
right? Like I had taken the California test and everything to be an
Wow.
educator. Um, and so that is the piece of being an organizer that I love because I like teaching and transferring the knowledge that comes
Yeah.
natural to me
Yeah.
for other people. And
Mhm.
not only that, the thing about educators can find a teachable moment about with
Right.
anything. With
Yeah.
anything, like everything is a teachable moment. And
Agreed.
so what I love about that in my mind is that it's not cookie cutter. And
Mm.
I can have a conversation with someone, never see their space, and I
Mhm.
can pick up on little things that they say
Yep.
and be able to give them direction that is totally different than someone else with even a
Right.
similar situation.
Right.
It's
Right.
totally different, and
Right.
that is what I absolutely love
Yeah.
because it's bringing someone from a space of, oh, I can never do that,
Right.
to, oh, wait a minute. Well, it may not look like Tanisha's, but it looks a lot better, or it could be a lot better than what I've always lived with. And that's everything to me.
That's
That's
everything.
everything
I
to me.
love it. I love
Yeah.
it. And I can hear the excitement in your voice. That's first. Okay.
Yeah.
So it is clear that this is your calling. This is what God intended for you to do, right? And so to hear you say that you got the downloads, I get the same thing. Like what I'm doing is my element. It's what I was born to do. I'm tripping all over myself learning it, right?
Yeah.
But you get there, and
You
and
get
that's
there.
the exciting part. You get there, and so once you figured that out, that this was where you were going to be, what were some of the first things that you did in terms of starting your business? Was it, okay, well, I'm gonna just go knock on a couple doors with my little flyer, or how did that go? What did you do?
Yeah. So when I knew this is what I was going to do, I took pictures of all of my spaces, right, in my home. And I just started building a catalog, right? A catalog of spaces. So it was a combination of my home, my sister's apartment, my parents' home. And then I was talking about it on Facebook, right? Because in my head, I was like, okay, this is my inner circle. These are people I went to high school with, I went to college with, I went to church with, who have known me from when I was little.
Yeah.
So let me just start talking about this, right? And even if nobody ever hires me from my circle of friends and family, when they hear other people say, "Oh, I just moved, I really need to unpack and set up my space," or "I need to clean my closet," or "I need to purge," or somebody passed away and they got to deal with that, they'll think of me. Because in their minds, I'm the expert, because I know more than the layperson, right? And so I just started doing that. And so then when I actually posted my very first business card, a young lady who was now working in the community college system that used to be in my youth group that I led, she was like, "Hey, are you interested in teaching and organizing class at a community college to lay people?" Not like a class for people who are interested in the business, but like that are unorganized and want to
And
learn
want
how
to.
to get organized. And I was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. So most of my business started off of word of mouth, off of me teaching and priming people to think of me as the expert.
I love it. I
That's
love
how
it.
I started.
So it started on social media, and then all of a sudden, here you are. Now, ma'am, I've been to your website. You have been seen on everything.
A
So
lot.
now, wait a minute. So how did that happen? So the word got out, because I know some of your clients, you have to sign an NDA.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh
Like
wow.
tight NDAs. One client, we was so private and security was so high, we couldn't even bring our phones in the house. We had to
Oh
check our
my.
phones in with security.
Wow. Now, how was so? First of all, that tells me a whole lot, because if word of mouth is that strong, that tells me that your organizing game is
It's
amazing.
pretty good. It's good.
I
It's
love it. I
pretty
love it.
good.
So, when you are in these spaces, one of the things that I hear a lot of people say, here's one, and this, I know this is not who you are. You are not the maid. Let's be clear, right? You may work possibly in conjunction and getting some stuff done, but that's not what you do. So the question that I have for you is I have someone that comes in to clean my home, hypothetically once or twice a week. I'm gonna clean the house before she get here, because I don't want her judging me, right? So what goes through your head when you're going to these homes where these people are probably have a big name for themselves or not, right? And you see the amount of emotion
Yes, yeah.
that is lying around, because that's what it is, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How do you deal with people who say, I can't get rid of that? I can't get rid of that.
With the conversation.
Okay.
So I like to say conversation-led decisions, right? So
Okay.
decisions and purging and downsizing led with conversation. So I'm asking the questions. I'm trying to get an understanding of how long something has been like this. How long after the housekeeper, the staff is straightening up? How long does it stay neat, right? Like, what is the reset cycle, right? Trying to understand those things. And when I have clients that aren't ready to downsize and downsize the excess, I try and listen to what is their pain point. So what bothers them when things are chaotic, right? When there's, whether it's clothes, whether it's they're an influencer and they're just inundated with products and things that they're supposed to make content with and then post, right? That's connected to their money, right? Whether or not they're a celebrity and they get all these things for free that they don't even want nor they ask for, right? Like all of these things, and or even just a regular person like me and you, like what is their struggle? Like what is their dream? What is their aspiration? What bothers them about the current state? And then I zone in on that. I zone in on what bothers them, and then I connect. I try and connect the low-hanging fruit that I see, a low-hanging fruit of things, to
Okay.
their pain point. And then I try and move them to, okay, I see, let's say 500 things that we could easily donate, recycle, or
Right.
trash. If I can get them to agree to 10% of that, 5% of that, then that's a move
I
toward,
see. I
you see
see.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's where I go. I'm trying, because the expectation or the assumption is that I am going to make them get rid
Mm,
of everything, right?
mm,
And a lot of times that is what I've learned is preceding, I'm not ready. I don't want to get rid of anything,
okay.
because they assume that I'm going to tell them they have to get rid of everything. So once they understand that this is I don't tell you to get rid of anything. I
Mm-hmm.
got you through the decision making. I
Mm-hmm.
understand your pain points. I
Right.
understand your dreams and your aspirations of what you
Mhm.
really want out
Right.
of your space. And
Mm-hmm.
then I helped you to connect the clutter, the
Got it.
excess to that. And then
Mm-hmm.
I help you make those decisions. And if you're not ready, I give you some options to kind of lead you down the road. And
Got it.
once they realize that, then the defense wall starts to drop.
Yeah.
And then they end up finding, then that the aha comes like, oh, okay, well, yeah, all that stuff. Once I start gathering things together,
Mm-hmm.
I start gathering things that are obvious trash. I
Okay.
start gathering things that are broken. I start
Mm-hmm.
gathering things of maybe a hobby that they haven't done in I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how long, and they
Right.
verbalized that they have no interest anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
start gathering those things, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, that pile can go.
I
Oh
see.
yeah, oh yeah,
That
that
we
pile
can
can
go.
go."
Okay. Okay.
So I start breaking down this whole of, no, I'm not ready,
Yeah.
to, oh, I'm gathering apples to apples. I'm gathering pears to pears. I'm
Gotcha.
gathering strawberries to strawberries. And they're like, well, I don't like pears anyway. All them
Come
pears
on
can.
here and let it go. Got it.
So
I see.
that's how we handle that. That's how we,
Okay.
yeah.
Ooh, you got to have the patience of Job. Because listen,
Honey.
what? I
Honey.
can only imagine what it is
Honey.
like. Because
But
when I
that's the
tell you,
thing. But that's the thing about when you're working in your passion.
yeah, yeah,
Side of this, I
mm-hmm,
probably wouldn't have the patience, right?
you wouldn't.
But inside of this world, I do, because I get it and I understand the journey, and
Mm-hmm,
I see where they could be.
yeah,
And so I'm holding everything back and in because I want to give them a chance to get through the journey.
Got it.
And that is more important to me than me spewing out, girl, you know you don't need this, right? You know what I mean? Like, it that pauses me from being the sister, the cousin, the best friend that's helping. Like it binds up what I would normally say or think, because I know that's going to do more harm. And I see the possibility. Like I see their dream clearly ahead of them, and I'm not going to do anything to prevent them from going down that road, because I know how it would positively affect their life.
I love that. I love that. And I love your honesty for that, because I think the no judgment piece was where I was going with that question. Because, I got to clean up, I got to do this. And then you come in and you start a whole conversation and you bring my guard down and you help me to understand. Because like, even in that conversation that we had, and I'm going back to that, it was just a general conversation. Yeah. And you were like, how long he been gone?
Like a girlfriend, right?
Right. He was like, girl, how long he been gone? How long? His stuff still in. You done moved to a different state. Girl, when you get home, you need to put him out. And so it's since I had made a commitment to do it, I was like, okay, when I get home, I'm gonna put all this stuff out. I'm still, like I said yesterday, I literally found these notes that I had made for him when he would leave to go, because he traveled for a living, right? So I would leave him these little notes like, don't forget to do da 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 da. I threw all that out. Like I literally shredded. I was like, oh no. Like it was Post-it notes. It was basic stuff. And what we don't realize, I think for me, and you need to know this, and I know that this has everything to do, I was blocking the next move in my life.
Absolutely.
And I didn't realize that. I didn't know what I was holding on to, because I just was packing stuff up, and I was packing up his son and, moving on, and I kept coming back to this place where I was like, now, wait a minute now I've been single, how long? And this has absolutely nothing to do with me. I'm making a point, right? So recently the phone has started ringing and I'm not even going to tell anybody how long I've been single, but it's been a while. Okay. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left it. Right. It's like that.
Listen, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
And the thing is I thought, well, now wait a daggone minute. So it didn't start happening until I put the joker out. Like, Tanisha, you broke open the floodgates.
Listen.
Yeah. So y'all, what I'm saying to you, and the reason why I brought that up again was because, first of all, I had to face a lot of emotions and feelings that went along with that experience. Yeah. And looking in the bags and the boxes and the things that I thought I was just moving, because that's what people do when they purchase a home and have it built from the ground up, and you put it over here and you store it and you're going to go over it over time. That was like Steve Harvey says, his mother told him about having a car sitting in the driveway that doesn't work is blocking you from getting the car that you want. Move the car. And so get rid of it. And so I love the way that you do that. And so I'm sure you've seen all rounds of emotion. How do you handle that? And then I got some other questions for you, for our listeners, readers, viewers, and subscribers. How do you handle that when they freak out on you? Because I'm sure you've seen it.
I have. I create space for it.
Okay.
I give them space to feel the emotions, acknowledge the emotions. I don't try and manage their emotions. Okay. And when it comes, it tends to then go. And then we move on. We pause.
Wow.
We pause. And I allow them the space to deal with the emotions, because I think the thing that most people underestimate is the discomforts that come with decluttering.
Yes, absolutely.
right? Like it's just gonna bring up some things that just don't feel good. You
Mm-hmm.
know, a lot of times we think about like all the money we've wasted, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
bought things impulsively. We really thought we would use them, but we ended up not using them. And a lot of times that guilt of, well, dang, look at all this money I wasted
Right.
will
Ooh.
force us to keep on hold on to it because we're like, I waste this money. And so a lot of times I used to say, look, yes, this is true, but I actually want you to feel that discomfort and
Mm-hmm.
feel that sinking. You know, when we just really mess up and
Mm-hmm.
we just really just mess up. We get
Right.
that sinking feeling in our gut
Mm-hmm.
and we
Ooh.
don't like it and we want to
Mm-hmm.
push past it, right?
Yeah.
And just be like, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I tell my clients, I want you to feel that,
Right.
because if you feel that, then the next time you want to make an impulse purchase, the next time you want to buy something that's on sale and you kind of
Mm-hmm.
really don't need it,
Right.
I just want
Right.
you to use that to pause
Yeah.
before you purchase. You may still purchase, but I can
Okay.
guarantee you that pause is going to get longer and longer
Longer.
and longer,
I
right?
love that. Yeah.
And so yeah, I give them the space to feel it,
Mm-hmm.
and then we go through it, because another thing is that feeling or the fear of the feeling
Mm-hmm.
stops people from even taking action to
Mm-hmm.
deal with what they know they have to deal with.
Right.
So my thought is, if we can get to that feeling whenever it comes and we can experience it, the fear of the feeling is always worse than the actual feeling.
Mm.
It's always the anxiety and the
Yeah.
anxiousness of how I'm going to feel when I see X, Y, and Z, or open, or what. It's always worse
Always worse. It's
than
always
what
worse.
actually happens. And
Yeah.
so then that experience of, oh, like I didn't totally like lose it in front of this stranger,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, okay. And
Right.
she didn't feel no ways about it. She stepped
Mm-hmm.
back. She allowed me to do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She asked where I am and whatever. And then we moved on.
Moved
And
on.
or if it's really a tough thing, we pivot.
Mm.
Okay, well, let's leave this right here. Let's
Okay.
pivot to this
Okay.
so we can keep going.
Okay.
And then they know that, oh, I'm safe. I'm
And I
safe.
can make it through this.
I'm safe. My body's safe. My mind stays safe. My spirit is safe. Okay, I can do this.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So listen, before we get out of here, we got about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so.
Mhm.
What I would love to know is number one, first of all, it's 2024. We're into a new year. And I would love to know what, number one, what would you suggest people start with in terms of their reorganization? Let's call it that.
Mhm.
That's a good place to start.
That's a good place to start. I say, depending on their apprehension
Mm-hmm.
to doing it, right? And their anxiety level on doing it, it's one of two things. Um, either focus on the area that is the worst,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
that you can get a good bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Because there's always, even the worst spaces have things that are very easy to declutter. They're going to have trash, they're going to have broken things, they're going to have donations that you packed up but never dropped off. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to have these easy things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So either I tell people to start off in the worst space or start off with the smallest space,
Okay. Okay.
right? So that you can get quick wins.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I always tell people to start off with dreaming.
Mm.
Dreaming on what you want for your space. When you moved into your house, when you moved into your apartment, when you first decided, oh, that's the condo I want,
Mm-hmm.
we all visualize it. Even
Yeah.
if you're renting a room,
Mm-hmm.
when we decide, okay, this is where I'm going to be, we have a vision of how it can be set up. We
Okay.
have a vision of what it can look like.
Okay.
But oftentimes that vision, that dream ends up turning into a nightmare because of the disorganization. So I want people to remind themselves of
Okay.
what the dream for this space could be.
I see.
And then kind of allow that to like drive them.
I love that. And that's a really good place to start because it's gentle. It doesn't feel like you're jumping off of a cliff, especially when it's a lot. And depending on the size of the house or not, it could be a lot, because it was a lot for me. It really was.
It could be a lot.
It was. Now, okay, so that's question number one. Question number two is, should I as someone who wants to declutter and remove all of the things from my home so that there's more space, should I start with a plan?
Yes.
Okay.
Strategic decluttering is best. Yes. Because you have a path, right? You have a plan of where I'm going to start, what the plan could look different, but a part of the plan is, where am I going to start? What's the path? How am I going to work my way through whatever space it is, right?
Okay.
What am I looking for? Right? Not just willy-nilly decluttering, but according to what I want my end result to be.
I see.
What am I looking for? What am I going to spot that it's like, oh, that can go. Oh, that can go. Oh, that can go. Right? So strategically decluttering.
Got it.
Okay. And then thinking through the plan, where are these things going to go? I know it's going to be a lot of trash, or if I know it's going to be a lot of recycling, if I know I'm going to have a lot of donations.
Okay.
Where am I staging this?
I see.
Where am I staging this? Where can it go? Do I need to have a dumpster? Do I need to have a recycle? Is there some place that can actually take the recycling, the trash, and the donations? Which there are, right? Like thinking that through, because a lot of times if we don't think that through, then we end up with a closet, a garage, a space with all the things that we've decided and are comfortable with saying I'm leaving, but then they don't go.
They don't go. Yeah.
And then you don't get to see the benefits of your hard work.
Yeah.
So thinking through that, and at least having one space where all these things can be staged, so that you know and you see all the things that you're building up. But then the next step is processing those things and making sure that's part of the plan.
I see. Now that absolutely makes sense. And so you brought up a really good point here. Where do the things go? So should I, as someone who wants to declutter, should I already have scheduled out the things? Or, okay, so let's stop right there. You're nodding your head. So let's do it. Okay.
Yes. Schedule them out. If let's just say this is, the beginning of the year, right? And let's say that you always take off 2 weeks out of the year, or, it's the beginning of the year and when springtime comes, you have like 2 weeks.
Okay.
And maybe that's the time that you're going to do your major decluttering. Have your donation pickup or whatever wherever it's going to go, have that already scheduled out. Actually, I would say, regardless on if there's a long 2 week span or week span or weekend, I would say schedule a donation pickup if it's available in your area every month. Because if you know that in the middle of every month, there's somebody coming to pick up your donations, I'm telling you, the same way your phone started ringing, things are going to pop up around your home. And you're like, oh, I can put that in the donation bin. Oh, I can put that in the donation bag. Oh, you're going to start looking for things to fill the bag or fill the box. So I would say schedule out as far out as you can because
Okay.
it's a motivator. And you're gonna make sure there's something in that box or bag when they come when that
Okay.
time comes.
Okay. Oh,
Mhm.
okay. See, this is good. This is even therapeutic right now for me. Cause listen, so because and so now there's another thing. These are good questions. So when we're talking about organizing, this is not the same as cleaning the space. Got
Totally
it.
different. Totally
Got it.
different. So
Got it.
we
Got it.
got there's four kind of phases, right?
Yeah.
So decluttering and downsizing, purging, all the
Mm-hmm.
same thing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that is reducing the amount of things you have
Mm-hmm.
so that whatever you have fits into whatever storage space you have, right? So
Got it.
that's downsizing, that's
Got it.
purging,
Mm-hmm.
that's decluttering.
Okay.
Then you have organizing, which
Okay.
is deciding of these storage spaces that I have, this goes here, this goes there, and this
I
goes
see.
there.
Got it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have styling. That means I have put, and this is optional, right?
Okay. Okay.
I decide this is where my books are going to go. I
Okay.
decide this is where my pens are going to go. You
Mm-hmm.
know what? I want to color code them, or I want to put them in a certain order so
Okay.
it's easier for me to find,
Mm-hmm.
or I want to put it in certain bins so
Mm-hmm.
that it looks a certain way so that it's aesthetically pleasing to the eye.
Right.
Totally optional. Now, remember, we've already organized because
Mm-hmm.
organized means that I can find things when I need them because they're in a certain space.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that the organizing products, although it does help with maintenance, is
Mm-hmm.
not mandatory.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it. Got it.
Then the cleaning is dusting, sweeping, putting things back where they need to go, like
Okay.
resetting,
Mm-hmm.
sanitizing.
Got it.
That's cleaning. That's totally different,
Totally different.
which is why,
Mm.
when you do have a cleaning person
Mm-hmm.
and it's not clear where things go,
Mm-hmm.
you will find a pile of stuff neatly stacked on the table or
On
on the
the
couch
table.
because it's
Oh.
not their job to put it away and find a place for it. It is their job to dust and clean and whatever, and those things don't have an obvious space, or your
Got
spaces
it.
are stuffed so they can't just put it away,
Right.
right? So that is the example of the difference between cleaning and organizing.
Ah. Y'all heard it first. Right? I've never heard it explained like that. I knew there was something that was different between them. So when we're doing one, if we're decluttering and we're purging, that's and organizing, that's completely different from cleaning your house. Did y'all hear
Absolutely.
that? I hope y'all heard that. I need you all to hear and understand that when you are cleaning your house, okay, now here comes the question. How can you clean your house if it's cluttered?
So it's a challenge, right? Because there are flat surfaces that
Okay.
are that have things on them,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the shifting of things go, and the cleaning of the house can get more challenging, right? Because if you have a corner that has things in there
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where they go because there's no other place, you can't necessarily sweep over there. You
No,
can't necessarily vacuum over there.
no.
You
Uh-uh.
because it takes too much effort to move it, and then right, so then that place doesn't ever get swept or doesn't get vacuumed.
I
Which
see.
I that is the best feeling ever
Mm-hmm.
when when I'm working with my clients
Mm-hmm.
and the dust mop comes out,
Mm.
the broom comes out,
Mm-hmm.
the vacuum comes out, because now I know that we're making progress
Uh-huh.
because a space that was previously covered with something
Mm-hmm.
is now exposed, and now they get to clean. Like that is the best feeling
I bet.
ever. That is the best feeling ever. So to your point, you can only kind of clean around
Yeah.
things. So you can do it, but it is more challenging. And then also it kind of it tends to make the person feel defeated. And then that is kind of sometimes can be the beginning of a snowball effect.
Got it.
Because they can't really get to certain corners. And so therefore, especially if it's a pile of things that they don't frequently use, then that dust will start settling. And then they feel like that whole corner is like dusty and whatever. And then it just starts to creep into the rest of the room because then they start feeling like, what's the use?
What's the use?
Like, what's the use? Like that corner is whatever. And then I can't get to the blinds. And then the blinds start having, so then it's the snowball effect. And then it's like, what's the use? And then it's like, I can't bring anybody in here to help me clean.
No.
Because now I'm embarrassed. So then it's a snowball effect.
Yeah.
It's a snowball effect. And then that's when you know, that's when it just becomes something totally different. And then you're just totally depressed and you have no hope.
Oh my goodness. And this sounds like if you can just get one part done at a time, just one piece at a time, that's what it takes in order for you to start to see the light of what you're doing. And so take your time. So before we wrap, are we saying in the end of all of this, sometimes this is more than a one-day trip for you?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. On average, I will spend probably about 40 hours or so, between 30 and 40 hours with a client. If we're not just doing like one space, if there's multiple spaces in a home, I could definitely on average spend between 30 and 40 hours with a client.
That is wild to me.
And sometimes more, depending on the project and depending on how long things have built up. And it could even be more. But on average, about 30 to 40 hours.
Goodness gracious, that's a lot. And I know you have more than one client. So here's the question that I have for you before we wrap and let everybody know where they need to find you. Because, honey, this is deep. This is really deep. Listen. So to our readers, followers, listeners, and subscribers, what tips would you give them to begin this 4-part journey of purging and organizing and all of the things?
Yeah. Just think about your dream for your space. What have you always wanted for your space, right? I want you to think about that. And then start with an area that you can't remember the last time you opened that drawer, you opened that cabinet, you opened that closet, you actually picked something from that pile that's in the corner. Like, think about that, right? Because that is probably the best place for you to start. Because if you don't even, like, if you forgot what's even in that drawer, you could probably generate a lot of space in that drawer because you probably don't need it. There might be 10% of the things in that drawer that you actually need and 90% that you could easily, without even thinking twice about, get rid of. And so that will start to build up your confidence and build up your strength and your decluttering muscle to keep going.
I love that. She said decluttering muscle. I'm over here taking notes because I was like, now, wait a minute now. My boudoir is full of these beautiful pieces of dresser drawers I have not opened. Oh my. Boy, I got work to do. Well, that's it.
That's all.
Holy cow. This is a lot. This has been most helpful. And I want to, first of all, let's talk about where we can find you. Because see, I could go on and on and on because this is so heavy to me on so many different levels. First of all, we can find you at naturalbornorganizers.com. This is Tanisha Lyons Porter, y'all. This is where you can find her. This is where you can get more information about how to get your whole life in your home, your office, your car. Some of us riding around here in cars with McDonald's, Wendy's, and all the things in the front, backside, shoes. Yes,
All of the things.
All the things. Okay. So I had to get my whole life together with that. And it was just out of habit because I was literally living in my car. And then lastly, this is where we can find you on social media at Natural Born Organizers on Facebook and Instagram, and at Professional Organizer _LA on TikTok. Y'all, this is Tanisha Lyons Porter, and I cannot say thank you enough for coming on and talking to our community and our neighbors about what it is that you do and what it is that you offer, especially with this being the new year and everybody dealing with so much. And we have all of these New Year resolutions. And one of the biggest ones I know people have is how to get themselves together in their homes, how to get organized, how to get fit, how to do this, how to be more friendly, all the things. And I want to make sure that Brownstone Worldwide and Brownstone Living Magazine is providing that information and value to them. So again, I want to thank you for coming on and hanging out with us. One last question. As a business owner, what would you say to business owners or people who want to get into the business of what you do?
Do it. Do it, because 54% of just Americans, we're not even talking globally, 54% of Americans are plagued with clutter. 78% of those people are absolutely paralyzed by it.
My goodness.
There are people who need you. There are people that you can shift their trajectory just by what you can do and your gifts and your natural abilities. So jump in, reach out. There are associations all over the country, all over the world. There are organizers that mentor and do all of the things. Do it. Do it.
I love it. I love it. Again, Tanisha Lyons Porter of Natural Born Organizers. Stick around for a little bit afterwards. I want to wrap with you really quick. But listen, you guys, once again, this is your Lunch and Learned Hour. I'm Paulette, again, a part of Brownstone Worldwide. You know what it is. Come back. Check us out on BWTV, a part of brownstoneworldwide.com, and also Cityscape Radio, the app. Go ahead and download that and keep listening for more ways to remain organized and on top of your game in 2024. I'll see you around.